Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗑𝗲𝗄𝗏 channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is Professor 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, also fondly called as Professor RV. Let's welcome him. Professor RV, Namaskar and welcome to 𝗑𝗲𝗄𝗏 channel. How are you, sir?
I'm quite okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. And I was told that your new book, 𝗏𝗲𝗏 is expected to be coming out.
Yes. Can I have the full screen, please? Yeah. Viewers, this book is now out on print and you'll be available, paperback will be available in India. So please get your copy. We are going to, we have already got it all set up in 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You can purchase your copy and we'll be shipping them in a couple of weeks' time. And sir, I would like to, with your permission, quote what you said after reading this book.
No, let them come and let them read it. You don't
want me to tell what you thought about this book, sir?
They should read and then find out.
Okay.
They should.
Professor RV has already read the book, viewers. I've got his quote here. And why this is important is the next set of battles are going to be not in air or on the ground, but on the water. And that's what makes this book important. We are kind of looking into the future as to where battles will be done and what exactly is the landscape that India is looking at. Indian Navy has been ramping up quite rapidly, and why it is happening, all that stuff in a fictional manner. Do watch it, do read it, and I would like you to read it. I would like you to buy it and read it. The ebook is already available. Some of you have already downloaded that and started reading it. So thank you so much, all of you. Give us your support. We would like to give you more books. I have the next book also is ready. I just have to finish the edits and I'll release that in the next couple of months, because that has the next state of corruption. What kind of medium is used to now distribute largesse, if you will. So that's what that book is about. So, sir, demographic destiny. 2 days ago, I had mentioned that Russia is looking for about, I think, 10 lakh or 1 million engineers, technical people from India. And I had mentioned that if you want to really learn Russian from scratch, the best thing to do is to first learn 6 months of Sanskrit. And then from that, Sanskrit to Russian transition is easier, because viewers, Russian, Lithuanian, Slavic languages, they all are sort of similar and connected, but you need the fundamentals back. We know what is Sanskrit fundamentals, but we need to learn it in a little bit more formal way so that it becomes easy to transition into these languages. So if India has the demographic dividend, it needs to invest a little bit in some specific sectors, such as the one that I talked about, Russian. Professor RV has all the numbers. He has sliced it and diced it, and he's going to share with us what does this mean. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Iyer. Thank you, Sachin, the backbone of the programming and other activities. And thank you for the readers for your perceptive comments. I go through them meticulously. Some of you give very interesting suggestions also. Now, demography is destiny is being talked about, and there is extensive studies, particularly for India. I should at the outset mention about it. The Center for Policy Studies, earlier I already talked about it, under Gurumurthy in Chennai. 2014, they released the demography book, analyzing from 1881, the first census of India, to 2001. At that point of time, 2011 census was not available. Dr. J.K. Bajaj and M.D. Srinivas, fortunately, both of them got Padma Shri at different points of time for their pioneering work. They have done district-wise, sub-district-wise analysis of the different demographic trends in India. It's a very important book. It's available on the net. I would like you to pursue that. Demography, Dr. J.K. Bajaj is the title, Center for Policy Studies. This is pertaining to the India only. And of course, now the global picture is getting very clearer. The global demography is extremely skewed for European countries. Most of them are less than 2.1. 2.1 is considered as, in the olden times, generally as what is called the balancing reproductive rate. Why 2.1? 2 is for a couple having 2 children. 0.1 is for the purposes of any, early child death or any type of a wastage or damage, as it is called. So 2.1. But the contemporary demographers are arguing in the West, 2.1 is not adequate. And many of them are 0.7, 0.6 like that. So they say 2.7 is the number which should be achieved. Whether they will be able to achieve it or not is another different point. But 2.7 is considered as the number which Europe should target. Europe is in acute crisis. This has been taking place for quite some time. I think, Sachin, you may be having a map, right? Small, you can show that. If you see the world population by region, Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, and Oceania, you will be surprised that Europe had 25% of the world population during First World War. That means every 1/4 of the world citizen was a European. And that has shown the decline to the extent today it is of the order of 10 to 11%, and it is expected to become 1 to 2%. So by 2100, Europe would practically have disappeared from the map. This is whether good news or bad news. One angle, good news, because in my school time, I struggled hard to recollect each European country and its capital. That used to be 1-mark question. What is the capital of Hungary? Budapest, I should remember. And this between Sweden and Finland, I always thought Sweden is the capital of Finland in my school time, and lost that 1 mark. So if Europe disappears, large number of youngsters will be very happy. That is the European situation. Let's come to that a bit later. And because of the significant decline, there were various things were considered as early as 2000, 2001, 2002, etc. 2000, Schroeder was in West Germany. He was the chancellor. He thought that we have to have some amount of skilled people in Germany. He announced, or rather he formulated a policy wherein he will bring in something like 50,000 Indians to Germany, and then over a 5-year period, and then they will send them back, some sort of a green card. In the beginning of the talk, Iyer was mentioning about Russians wanting to have large number of Indians in their workforce. So Schroeder wanted, because if you recall this 2000 period, the Y2K was extremely worrisome for many of the large corporates and government in Europe and US. And the Indians seem to have played a very important role in terms of mitigating this Y2K issue. And that was highly appreciated, and that's the reason Schroeder brought it. But Joseph Strauss of Bavaria is something like a maverick. He can be considered as something like DMK in India. So he totally opposed it. Whatever the reason, he told the Inder will come and take away the job of all our kinder. He did a big propaganda about it, and then Schroeder lost the poll, and this was also lost. But Germany was facing an acute crisis, as other countries like France, Spain, and Italy, and other things, including US, in terms of brown collar laborers. By brown collar, what we mean is those who are removing the garbage, those who are doing all this menial job, farm workers, and then household category of workers, cleaning the house, cleaning the car, and lawn mowers, and hundreds of these brown collar jobs. There were not enough people to do. This is a very, very huge problem. Japanese tackled it. I will come to that. Very interesting. By the window cleaning, for instance, in some of the Japanese corporates and universities even, is done by using the what is known as your car cleaning. Car has got in the front the wipers, as and when the dust accumulate to some extent, those Japanese windows will automatically become active and the water will be pumped in. So to that extent, human touch was minimized. Otherwise, very tall towers, Meiji University, I was there for a long time. Tall towers, so dirty. I used to always ask my colleague, why? They say we don't have mechanism. We can't send people up because if something happens, insurance is so high. In India, if they go up and if something happens, they go further up and then we forget about them. But there it is not like that. There the insurance premium is so high, we are not able to meet the challenge. Anyhow, the brown collar labor was so much in demand. As early as the 90s, I recall, beginning of 2000 or 90s actually, I was in US in several cities, sort of giving talks and other thing, universities also. I used to find the Latinos were significantly in number. In many places, Spanish was the regular language. So I used to joke maybe the president of US will address the State of the Union address will be in Spanish within the next few decades. Not only that, they used to be more in Texas, California, and others. By then, they have also extended themselves to Alaska, various places, northern part of US and other thing. And most of the resident houses I visited, the housekeeping job was done by the Latinos, mostly Mexican, sometime Uruguayan, sometime, the Venezuelans, and all of them are without any citizenship, what you may loosely call people without papers. I am talking about those days. I used to be wondering how long this can sustain itself, this type of an influx. And now you find that there is a huge amount of consternation and there is a shouting and something like after 15, 20 years. US is, a tube-light society, I always say. They realize major problem after the problem is over. They try to use strong arm tactics to overcome the issue and other thing. Anyhow, so this is what was happening in Europe. So what Merkel thought, Merkel was the chancellor for 2 terms. And then she always used to remind me of a house cleaner in my primary school. And the current chancellor reminds me of a headmaster. The Merkel was, I would rather, rate her as one of the lowest possible influence here. But she told that we should open up Germany. She created and also influenced the EU to do that. And open border policy was introduced. And she told multiculturalism should be encouraged. She genuinely believed in that perhaps. And German was flooded. I would not call it migration. It was invasion from various North African countries as well as from Middle East war-torn countries, including Afghanistan and Pakistan. The multiculturalism, finally, what was there in Germany was between Venezuelans and Mexicans and the Ugandans and all the North African people, as well as from the Middle East. This was the type of different cultures which were multicultural. So there was no mixing of Deutsch culture with these people. And slower over period of time, these people were resented because they never really integrated into the society. At the time of retirement, Merkel made a dramatic statement: multiculturalism doesn't work. This is very interesting. After 10 years of power and after so much damage to the country. And also the type of people she brought in are not for engineers or doctors or computer scientists. They are all for this brown collar work. And most of them began to depend only on the state, Gracia and state level health insurance, state level, what you may loosely call the medical benefit as well as the other type of gratis. So this is the same type of thing was repeated in France and for England and Spain, Italy. If you get into one of these countries, Spain, Italy, or then you can go to the entire Europe. That is the advantage. And people began to come in boats, dingy boats. Obviously, there were what you may loosely call the agents who are getting, and it was told that it could be as high as $5,000 per person who are coming in the boat, risking their life. And one statistic say in the last couple of years, decade if you take, the number of people who died by falling into the ocean, Atlantic as well as the other joining ocean, is much larger than the number of people who died in the Second World War. This is a very, very severe type of a situation. And something like 1,000 people are coming every week into UK. And UK has got a various type of policies, but nothing is working. All of them are coming in and settling in UK. So this demographic issue in Europe is very, very severe. And there are various efforts are made. The Catholic Church is shouting that we should have more children, and it's not being heard. We are in a post-contraceptive world. We should remember that, very important. After 1955, that Michigan chemist found out about contraceptive. We are not going back into that. So the two-child norm and one-child, we had a joint family. Europe, it was flourishing. Europe used to have one of the largest joint family system, particularly countries like Italy and Germany in the 40s and 50s. If you see old movies, you will find around a dining table, the entire family, father's father, and his children, numbering maybe 6, 7, 7, 8, and other thing. All of them sitting around and then some chit-chatting, and those days are gone now. You cannot find such size of the turbot, leave alone the type of people around it. So it used to be joint family, then it became nuclear family. And business was so totally responsible for it, because business likes small family. If there are 10-member families, if there are 2 5-member families, that 5 refrigerators will be sold. Let's be very clear about it. Instead of 10 members using 1 refrigerator. So the norms were small family, and a small family was always considered as a happy family. If you go back to the advertising in the television in the 80s and 90s in the US, you will find all the small car, big, huge cars with the couple and their 2 children sitting inside, maybe a dog sometime with a balloon, and then going and then chit-chatting, and that is considered as a happy family. Happy family will never have a mother-in-law, sister-in-law, daughter, brother-in-law. These are all not part of the happy family. In India also, 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗃 has introduced it successfully in order to reduce the size of the family. And from nuclear family, it has become single-parent family. That's very common thing in Europe and US. Single parent is normally, only single mother, actually. The Europe, there was a committee formed about the family system with Archbishop of London as the member. The first sentence of the committee was, the sovereignty of the family is dead. And then it told, there are more families with television sets than with fathers. This is what was told by the official committee of the UK. In US also, 51% of the children are born out of wedlock. And in black communities, it is 75%. And Latinos, it is 60%. It's a very severe crisis facing the US. The blacks are not having problem due to unemployment or not due to whites or something. It is for their own society, their own system, which is collapsing. And a large number of single black women are trying to manage 2 kids, 3 kids, and other thing. This is what is happening. One of my students who is teaching in US says, after 10 years, a boy will be asked, do you know who is your father? He will say yes, answer it, everybody will laugh at him. That is the situation which they have landed themselves in. Today it is the reverse. You are supposed to know your father, but if you know your father after 10 years, it will be considered as a big humor or a joke. This is what is the whole complexion of the society is changing. When I was an youngster, whenever a child is born, we used to ask, boy or a girl. Now, today in US, when a person is getting married, you ask boy or a girl. So that is the type of a social situation which has changed drastically. Even US has got in many states the problem of fertility of less than 2. Aggregate all over US it is 2. But many states are facing the problem of less than 2. Europe, many countries, particularly the North European countries, are having problems of 0.8, 0.9 and other thing. And Japan is having Japan population is shrinking. Every census they make, and then they come out with a result that our population is 2 million less, 1.5 million less, another thing. When I was in Japan, there used to be a council for aging. I was put as a member by the King of Japan. I don't know whether due to my aging or so. Couple of meetings were held, and I told this is not a easy problem. This Japan will disappear after 40, 50 years. A Japanese will be kept in a glass cage inside a museum, and everybody will say he is a Japanese, and he used to be alive in those days. Now, so because they don't encourage migration, and they don't want people from other places. Even Chinese who work in Japan, Tokyo, larger Tokyo, in construction and other, all the brown collar work is done by Chinese, and they are all treated as untouchables. They are all in ghettos in the Tokyo system. Everybody quietly forgets about them. So Japanese A, don't want migration. B, they genuinely think, I tell you, sir, that they are a superior people. So, being a superior people, they are not very enthusiastic about allowing others into. And becoming a citizen of Japan is not a joke. You must know Japanese language, which itself will be next birth only. A person like me can become a Japanese citizen, not in this birth. And there are also issues of you should have a surname going back to generations of Japanese, of some old ancestral proof you should be able to give, or you should have married to a Japanese, and then number of years is also specified. So it's not a very easy task or anything. So they don't encourage, and the Japanese women unfortunately increasingly are not wanting to get married. There was a survey last year by their popular paper, Shimbun, which said people are getting married late, after 30, like that. And very interestingly, 70% of the girls don't want to get married. They want to be single. This is something very, very interesting for an Asian culture. When I was there, I used to tease some of these girls, why are they not getting married? They say, sir, our parents, we look at it. See, my one girl told me, my father, Greater Tokyo is the biggest area of Japan. That's the largest GDP provider also. He works in the company. At the end of 6 p.m., he comes out, he goes to the pub, comes home at 1 o'clock only. Every day he says the same thing, except weekend where he sleeps. So, we are not very enthusiastic about having such a married life. I asked her jokingly, why don't you people have extramarital? If your husbands are so much in the pub, why don't you? He said, how it is possible? All the men are in pubs. How can we have extramarital? So I did not have any answer to that. It's a crisis. It's a crisis of massive dimension. Not many people are. If you are in Japan or even South Korea, same thing. South Korea is much more problematic than Japan. Their fertility rate is around 7.7 or something. So both the countries are facing acute issues. Unlike Russia, at least, which is not averse to getting labor from other parts of the world, particularly the white collar labor. they are not very much enthusiastic about getting the brown collar, because brown collar gets into its own issues and problems and other things. That is one of the things which we should. So Japan and South Korea are two examples of what are known as the civilizations which will disappear. If you could take India, it is always told, so no sir, all these arguments are not correct. As education and the literacy rates increases, the fertility will come down. So the religious distinction is not appropriate, and which is not true. You may be knowing about a district called Malappuram in Kerala, which was created by EMS 𝗠𝗠𝗏𝗏 as a gift to Kerala. He told, why don't Kerala has its own, Muslims have its own district. Arey Baba, Muslims are their own country. Why do you want to create a district? Somebody asked him. He brushed his aside. He didn't. He was a sort of a king of politics those days. And this Malappuram has got something like 90% literacy rate, significant amount of income, but their fertility rate is not, it's much more than the average of Kerala. It used to be 2.7, now it is estimated to be 2.3 or something. So just education and economic welfare alone is not going to reverse the reproductive process. Culture is another important factor, because for instance, if you take countries around Israel, most of them have 3, 2.7 like that fertility rate. Many of them are very, very rich countries. I'm not talking about Gaza, I'm talking about other countries, and including our, of course, our Pakistan. Pakistan has not conducted census for quite some time, nor many of the Islamic countries, because they say that counting heads is against Sharia. It's not a very acceptable proposition, so they cannot count. I gave a solution, but it was not accepted. They all laughed at it. I told you can count the legs and divide it by 2. There will be good amount of mathematicians in your country who can divide it. But in a country like Iraq, they told that is also not possible, because many people have 1 leg or no legs after the war with Iran. So that is the type of a situation there. Anyhow, the proposition that better off will have a lesser fertility compared to better off in terms of education, and Kerala is a counterexample. And there is another puzzle, I could never solve it. I have asked so many people. In Kerala, if you go by the statistics, the illiterate women are having lower fertility rate, something like 0.4 or something, compared to educated and rich women who have something like 2.4 or something. Unbelievable, actually. How can, no, normally it is told that illiterate women will have a more number of children. Kerala is a counterexample to hundreds of things, and this is one of the other extremes. I could never figure it out. I asked a lot of demographers about it. They told it may be error or it may be this, it may, but nobody could give a satisfactory answer. The point is, education and wealth alone cannot reverse this. The last important point to recognize is what 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was telling. We must improve our domestic, I am talking about India, the reproductive rate, and then have 3 children. Again, that is not going to happen. This bringing back joint family is not going to happen. Bringing back 3 children norm is not going to happen. If at all, it is going to be 1 child or perhaps no child. Because people don't realize, for UKG today, 1.5 lakh is the fee. And you have to go for financing. And many of the banks are not so enthusiastic about financing school education. They are more enthusiastic about financing college and foreign degrees, not the domestic even. But if you want to join IIT, IIM, you get more easily financing than UKG. It's something very funny actually, because the foundation of the house you don't want to finance. You want to finance only the 6th floor or 7th floor. This is, how real estate can flourish in that context. Same way, so it's very expensive today to have children. In the earlier time, children used to be joy. For instance, cumulatively, what I spent for my education, I started at class 2 only. There used to be no LKG, UKG, pre-KG, pre-KG in those days. Till my PhD, the total amount spent is significantly lower than what is charged for 1 year of UKG today. Can you beat that? So, having 3 children, another thing, it is a good suggestion, but it is not going to be. What is the way out? Don't look at quantity, look at quality. Make all the NRIs of the world regular citizens of the country. Every one of them should become regular citizen. He can have access to land. He can have access to. He's like anybody else. He can even vote. Nothing wrong about it. So this 120 billion US dollars we are getting per annum from all these people, global. I am not talking only about US. All the Toga and Uganda and Europe, UK, so many. Of course, US is roughly considered to be 25% of the remittance, but all other countries also make all of them citizens of India. So to that, not our population is not going to be huge or something, but we will have significantly more technically qualified, educated, and well-to-do people. Today, I am told in the global list prepared in US, many of the billionaires are of Indian origin. So we will have a very, what one can call, lump sum group globally. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality also we should be focused on in terms of our, and domestic, we should try to encourage not having a large number of children. Look at the inter-regional disparities in terms of religious, in terms of between the different states and other things. How we can try to rework on it. Already Stalin is making a huge noise that South is having less population, so we are going to lose heavily in representation, which is not true, because the center has very clearly told the percentage wise the number of MPs is going to remain same, irrespective of the delimitations which we are going to do. Point is, we have to look at domestic and see how much of these disparities and differences can be reduced. This is very, very critical. Otherwise, many districts, many parts of the country are getting lost by the Indian religions, what are called, the Indian religion, I mean Hindus, Jains, Buddhist, and Sikhs. So, comparatively, the religion of peace and religion of love, Christianity and Islam, is having a huge amount of growth in some of these tracts, and that requires to be closely looked at. And some amount of commonality should be evolved in order to bring sanity in our discussion. So make the entire global Indians as part of India. There is no distinction. Anytime they can come to India, they are like anybody else. They can vote in India, and so that is something which will strengthen our intellectual and monetary base of the country in terms of the presence of these people. So going for 3 kid norm and other thing is not going to be easy. Going for joint family is also not going to be easy. So let's be realistic. Let's work on some of the feasible solutions rather than theoretical constructs and good imaginations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And you have given a very sensible suggestion. If you can't beat them, join them. If you cannot defeat Rahul Gandhi from having multiple country citizenships, give it to every NRI.
Correct.
I have an interesting observation here from one of our avid followers. Pawan Kumar says, Shreeji, enti ee roju jiggle shirt vestunaru. what he's saying is, how come you're wearing a flashy shirt? This is actually my memories of Cambodia, Kampuchea or 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗅. And I bought this thing there, and I was going through something. I just saw this. Oh my God, it's been 6 months since I went there. I've not worn it even once. So it's a very comfortable place, very nice city, Siem Reap, around which Angkor Wat and all the other complexes are. I mean, it's so nice. Any of you who are thinking of having an alternate place for vacationing, it's very, it's not very difficult. Go to Singapore, and from there another 2 hours to go to Cambodia. Have fun, guys. It's a great place. We need to understand how much Hinduism spread. There was no internet. There was not even postal service. Remember that. Sir, there is a temple that is dedicated to 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪.
Yeah.
She was a 6th century saint, and this temple was constructed in 7th century, and the architecture is still there. It's still in place, sir. It's amazing kind of brick that they have used, and it is believed to have been one person, one Brahmin, who came from Tamil Nadu and settled down in Cambodia. He married into local families, but he always remembered this, and it was his homage to his homeland that he built this temple. Incredible stuff like this you find in Cambodia. I mean, this is one country. I'm sure something similar exists in China, in Vietnam, in all the Southeast Asian countries. Indonesia, for example. I mean, we are hardly scratching the surface there. So my point is, we are, much more than what we think we are. However, we need to kind of broaden our vision and scope, and everybody will be better for that. Sir, we have a few questions from our viewers. Let's take some questions. Thank you so much, guys. Many of you are commenting about my shirt. Thank you so much. Let's go to questions now. Mitra Mela wants to know, Sree, Germans invited Syrians, Iraqis and Afghans with good intentions, helping people flee conflict zones, but teaching people soft skills is more difficult than hard skills. Sir.
Yeah, Sree, Mitra Mela, you should know one interesting thing. Germans, as early as 1950s, went to Iraq and used to, use drums and these trumpets, invite them to Germany, because that time they wanted large number of people in the construction and various other manufacturing industries. I'm talking about the 50s. German was flooded with the Kurds and one type of Iraqis and a different type of Syrians. But interestingly, they never gave them citizenship. They gave them only resident right and other thing. Many of them can speak fluent German, and that original migration group is different than what Merkel suggested and brought in the 2005. Merkel's group is North African mostly, and conflict-based these Middle East countries. And I totally agree with you. Soft skills are very difficult to be taught than hard skills. For instance, Indian, quite a large number have been going to US from the 60s, particularly in IT sector. I always call it as outsourcing reproduction. The white American women have lost interest in producing kids. So what is the solution? Dean Rusk, actually, some of you may not even recollect. He was a Secretary of State, and he was considered as one of the pioneers. He writes as early as 60s, need for bringing people from other countries. They identified India as a good sourcing point, because most of the children are taught a good culture, and they all go to IITs and they all go to IIM, and then they are brought to US. This is called outsourcing reproduction. People with a significant amount of skills are brought to US, and these people are generally God-fearing and law-abiding. That is another plus point. So this type of a selective thing is very, very important, and that's not there. I recall during Iraq war, I was in Atlanta, and they were sending all these ICBM and this very different type of thing to finish off Iraq. They were not putting soldiers on the soil of Iraq. That they were very reluctant, because any one body bag comes to JFK, they'll have a huge amount of shouting in US. US don't want to lose its youngsters, but US want to win wars. The only way is to have this computerized type of a war. I used to be telling my colleagues, I'm worried because many of I consider US people to be dumb. Instead of Iraq, they call it Iraq. And instead of Iraq, Iran, they may bomb India also. I for India. So my colleague used to tell, relax Nathan. They used to call me Nathan. Nothing like that will happen, because all the fellows who are punching the keys are all from India. So they are not going to punch a wrong key in order to hurt their own country. Like that they used to joke. The type of people who bring in is also extremely important. Otherwise, it's not going to mesh. It's not going to work. Thank you, 𝗏𝗏, for identifying the issue.
Mitra, again, among all Western nations, Germany and Italy are the least racist. Ask any Indian who lives there. Mocking countries for large hearts is wrong. We're not mocking anyone, Mitra.
We are not mocking.
Hey, it was just an opportunity lost. That's all. Nothing else.
That's all.
Yeah.
𝗏𝗏, that's all. Okay.
Next one, please. Milban Cherian wants to know, why are many world leaders unmarried or childless?
They would have learned a lesson from Indian leaders who are married and having children, because they have to pass on their entire property as well as the party to the next generation. And for instance, people who have got more than one child are having huge problem. Look at the crisis which is gripping some of these fellows, and not necessarily your own children. 𝗟𝙗𝗎 is having problem because of the child as well as the cousin brother. The PMK is having problem. Father and the son is not seeing eye to eye. And this DMK used to have problem. Elder brother and younger brother. And now in RJD there is a problem. So maybe they have learned better to be unmarried or without children. Right? Okay.
Next one, please. Aprameya wants to know, is the nuclear family model for Hindu families a boon or bane to Bharat growth?
You see, it's a value neutral, we should take it. It's neither boon nor a bane. If on a civilizational basis, it is a bane. Because joint family is always helpful. It's always beneficial in terms of conflict resolution. You don't have to go to a psychoanalyst and sit 100. You always play, the one sister-in-law, again another sister-in-law, this way, that way. And so, but unfortunately, that is a type of model which has got developed, whether one likes it or not, and appreciated also. That's all. From that point of view, it is not a boon, definitely. Okay.
Next one, please. N. Rajaraman wants to know, in Thailand marriages, Tiruvasakam is still recited without knowing the language or the meaning.
Quite possible. I agree with you. So I have seen it in Mauritius, I have seen it in other countries also, even in Malaysia. Many of them may not know the full language and other things, but they just what one can call the song and the voice and the melody and other things are appreciated. Okay.
So if you look at the names in all these countries, right? Thailand, Indonesia, they're all Sanskrit sounding names, sir. Sukarnaputri, Bhumiputra, or all of them. Suharto, Sukarno, all of them have a Sanskrit name associated with it. And it's been continuing. I think it's time to go back and reconnect to our roots and say, oh, look, this is how these things evolved. For example, the base language script, the base script in the Southeast Asian countries is called Khmer, Khmer, and Khmer is directly derivable from Brahmi, directly derivable. So it has spread from there, and some countries don't have a script, so they use English. For example, Malay, I am told, they are using only English.
Yeah.
So my point in saying all this,
higher fundamental problem is we are umbilical cords are tied to the West. We never look at East. We say look at East, but our face is to the West only. So this is so we never developed cultural, educational and other linkages with the East, which we should have done long time before. We looked at the West, and all our children of bureaucrats are in the Western countries, all our educational thing, all our technology development is from the Western part of the world only. So this is something which is a larger issue, actually, if you ask me. We are genetically tied to the West. So we totally ignore the East connections. Okay.
So Sunita Rao says the demographic population of country helps the nation grow. As Bharat is already overpopulated, is it natural that it's creating a balance?
We are, I won't say we are overpopulated. Actually, if you take the population density in terms of the total picture, and our arable land is much, much higher, around 70% compared to China, whose arable land is something like 30% only. So they can talk about actually having a problem, because a large number of people have to have a living in a small area or something, right? So Sunita, I think we have to have a sort of a more balance, right? Women working also increase stress levels, which has a diverse, and a lot of stress management needs to be taught general population. Correct. Okay. I agree with you.
Jay Ma Bharti wants to know.
Huge entering. How can this problem cannot be solved? Let me be very blunt about it. And because the libersum, the logic used by Bangladesh is India is our natural place where we can occupy. It's a very simple type of a thing. They don't have any qualms about it. They don't consider it to be something wrong or anything. They feel it is part and parcel of the their natural claim. So, and we also have, for instance, the TMC party is openly encouraging migration from Bangladesh, and there is a huge portion of it is not even having fencing and walls and other things. So this is not a easy type of a problem to solve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And please don't forget to order your copy. It is available today at 𝗟𝗏.com. Thank you once again. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
I am okay. Thank you.